tubing on there. Go on then. Oh, do not shear that off.
Fucking hell. I'm concerned because that's gone really tight now.
Wonderful.
This is the fucking one. I think you might have to hold that down.
Yeah.
No, don't spray anything. Knob.
Who you call you a knob?
You.
Okay.
Hold it down.
I am. That's not.
Fucking hell. And again.
Bolt may have stretched, sir.
I just don't like the feel of them. I just don't.
Beagley!
I don't know what the fuck's happened to that.
You stretched.
But they normally go loose. Oh, you might get Millicent on there now.
I'm putting Millicent on now. Chances of shearing off high.
Chances of getting smack on the nose. Especially the size of your nose.
Woo! Okay, this is where it goes horribly. God, look at that. Zoom in on that.
Please.
Fuck off.
You're not a director.
Can I got it?
Don't just pull it. Is it on?
Yes. Ready?
Go.
One. It's smoking. Oh, it don't get any better, does it?
Go.
1650 Newton meters.
Fucking hell.
Jesus. Beagley! Can't get that out. We use a spare.
It's not spare, it's worn, that one.
Is it?
That's why I don't use it. That's why I let you use it.
Ready? That's not doing anything.
Pull the trigger.
That does look not doing anything.
Hell.
Beagley! Go for it. Just go on. Oh, it's a horror film now. Hey. Feel the quality. Enjoy. Welcome to our world.
Is it the Facebook friendship video music?
Right, see you in the morning. What's the delight in the morning?
Lovely. Nothing wrong with that. Holy mother. Right, let's have it apart. It doesn't really get much better when you get inside. It's basically it's sort of, well, I need a beer. As they say on the cliffhangers, to be continued. Fuck's sake. I mean, pardon me. Well, another day, and it doesn't look any nicer. It's absolutely heaving inside. Sending off to the cleaners. The cleaner's really going to earn his money on this one. Mr. Beagley. There's the pinion in all its glory.
Oh, I didn't realise you were videoing.
Fuck off. There's the pinion in all its glory, and there's what's left of the pinion bearing that fell apart when I took the head off. And then over here we've actually got the remains of that, and that's actually welded itself to that. That should be two separate units. So all in all, this is going to take some serious sorting out. I suppose I better take the locker apart now. Can't wait. Anyone got a clothes peg? Well, I've got the first part of the locker apart. This has been through the ultrasonic with 4 different flushes, and it's still absolutely cake solid. The air system doesn't hold air and is full of gunge, and it's just not looking very nice at all. If you want to look at the other side, Yeah. So somehow I've got to get this lot apart. It's basically rusted together. Going to take a bit of shifting, and then we'll have a look at what the actual damage is going to be, and oh Beagley, see what we're going to do. Yippee-doo, welcome to my world. All going swimmingly well, everything's rusted solid, so we've got to be a bit brutal now. It is taking forever. We've got a few out. This is quite high quality. This is Bondas, very expensive, and yeah, they're in there really tight. We have a twist. We've actually got to the point now where we've had to use one of our new special tools to undo these bolts, because that wasn't strong enough and we couldn't grip it hard enough even with pipe benders. Well, here we go. This is one last look at everything before we start cleaning properly. It's taken us the best part of a morning to get what's left of this locker apart. As you can see, nothing's in particularly good condition. Now, it would be very easy for us to have just given the guy a huge bill and said, can't get it apart, but it's cheaper to spend the labour and actually get it apart. But equally, what we're going to do with this locker, because this is a pure off-road truck, we're going to do our very best to clean it all up, to go again with the minimum amount of expenditure on new parts, on the basis that we've nicknamed this Tiddles diff, as in the cat, because it's got 9 lives, and I think this is number 8. So that's off to the cleaners, and then we'll sit there and we'll have a look through and work out exactly what we can use again, and what actually has to be replaced. But this is a £1,200 diff, believe it or not. Hey ho. Into the cleaner we go. Well, if you're interested, this is Tiddles Ashlocker special mates rates. This is after it's been through my ultrasonic at least half a dozen times with special cleaning fluids. It's been wire brushed, it's been cleaned in brake cleaner, and a lot of people will just look at this and say it's a pile of scrap. It probably is a pile of scrap, but what we're going to do is make it live again purely for an off-road truck, something we don't often do, and the money really is going to be going into the labour and not the parts. But if you started adding up the parts here, you're looking for a complete set of gears. That's about £150 plus VAT. You'd need a centre really, because this one's all sorts of problems with it, which we're going to re-tap it and sort it out. That's £100. It does need a piston, they're 22. It needs an end flange, that's about £50. It does need a cage, they're about 25. It needs bronze pads, they're about £40 each. Could do with an air end ring as well, but we'll clean that up, but that's best part of £60. So, you know, and you could do with a crown wheel, because that is actually quite badly damaged. That's £234. So you could easily just say that to rebuild this, you're looking at basically a new ashlocker and a new crown wheel and pinion, and complete new set of bearings and seals, and the casing clean and put back together, which would be rough end of over £1,000. But we're going to try and move decimal points on this, so let's see how it goes. So first thing I'm going to do is see just what we can get out of the gears and get them a bit better, which is going to take some considerable time. Well, we're on about day 4 of cleaning up the differential Tiddles. Definitely another life gone. I reckon this is now 7 out of 8 lives. But what we've done is we've done everything we possibly can to clean off all the rust. The pitting, there's nothing we can do about. But if you remember the cage, that was it was in a horrendous state. That's come up quite well. We've got the broken studs out, we've re-tapped all the holes, and we've put it through the polisher. It's taken most of the chemical blacking off, but it does actually now resemble something that we can build with. The gears themselves, they've come up reasonably well, considering how bad they were. They'll run again. There's some heavy pitting on there, but they've been in the ultrasonic and they've been in the polisher for so long, they're not going to get any better. Planet gears have actually come up reasonably well on the rears. The problem with anything like this is once the pitting goes through the hardening, you're into the base metal, and so these gears are liable to wear very quickly, even quicker if they don't have oil and they have mud. Mr. Beagley, are you listening? This was just a ball of rust that's come up pretty well, and so on and so forth. So this lot here, including the crown wheel, there's the crown wheel that was diabolical. It's actually got a shine to it. I reckon that's all we're going to get. If we get a blue check, I'll be absolutely amazed. So that little lot there is all going to go again, and we'll give it one more go. This little pile here is what we're putting in new. We're putting in 2 new drive thrusts, 4 new thrusts for the planet gears, 2 new O-rings, build pins, a new cage, a new locking ring because it's been crash engaged to death, and 4 new springs, and a new piston because it completely worn away and there's nothing there, and all new nuts and bolts, and then some bearings to finish. So in actual fact, parts wise, you're looking at 25p, about £1 there, about £4 there, £4 there, about £1 there. That's about 20 quid. That is expensive. That's about 40 quid, and that's about 20. So you're looking at maybe maximum £100 worth of parts. But the labour will be off the scale because we've had huge amounts of cleaning. But instead of this lot, which would be £1,000, we've got £100 and a lot of labour. So I'm going to put this locker back together, and then we'll have a look at it. And there's the centre back together. Gears are all in, nice and smooth, oiled up, new thrusts. That's actually come up remarkably well. So we'll carry on. Well, there we are. There's Tiddles Locker pretty much back together. One last look at it before we close it all up and put it back together. But it's actually looking quite sweet considering what the hell it's been through. So final stages. Moment of truth, the only way you can really test an Ashlocker is to put it together. This bearing actually holds the air unit in place, so without actually assembling it, which costs a bearing if it doesn't work, there's not a lot you can do. I have to step away to actually press the button because I'm on my own. And open the locking valve and let's see if it locks. And in 3. That sounds healthy. Locked. Unlocked. Locked. In fact, locked very neatly and very cleanly. So now it's probably onto the casing and rebuilding the crown wheel and pinion into that casing when it's been refurbished, and putting the locker in and carrying on to the end. You'll live again, Tiddles Diff. Well, the pinion is a really nasty mess. This has been through the ultrasonic several times. It's got a lot of pitting and, as you can see, a lot of rust. So we're going to put this through our polishing machine for a couple of days and see if we can bring this up a bit better. Well, I'm quite chuffed. Here it is, back out of the polisher. It's been in there for about 3 days. It's not going to get any better. If you look at the teeth as I rotate, you'll see there's some pretty catastrophic bits that have gone in there and pitting. I've checked every single tooth. There's no actual cracks. It's the pitting that's going to cause a problem on this. But on the other hand, the crown wheel isn't much better, but at least it's clean. And at least it's got no rust in it now. So that's about pretty much as good as I'm going to get that. But it's going to have to go again because old Beagley wants his Tiddles Diff back and not a lot of expenditure on it. But I'm still impressed as to what the machinery can do, even if it costs me an arm and a leg and takes an age. But yeah, hey ho and onward. And here we are at Tiddles Cat, the rebirth. We've actually, I don't know how many times I've rebuilt this diff, but it's horrendous. So here we have, yeah, that is the one that you saw earlier, and yes, it does look like that, and yes, that is the crown wheel and pinion. So we got some new adjuster rings, we got some new head and tail Timken bearings, we've got new flanges, we've got all sorts of new parts, FTC 5150s, new bolts, new locker, new pipe because it was screwed on the other one, new seal, and oh, look at that, the casing is back from the cleaners. We've given it a paint, it's come up really well. That looks a little bit better than it did before. It's actually not clean enough to build into, we'll give it another cleaning, but that little lot is going to go back together. And Tiddles, I think this is your final life, mate. Now it's clean. Not only clean, that's Grant clean, that is. And we'll start putting it back together. And here we are. Tiddles Diff lives once more. I think this is its 9th life. We haven't really got much of a blue check. We have got a blue check. It's okay on the drive side, but it's going to be noisy in reverse, and that's due to the fact that the gears have actually worn, and we can't get a really good contact patch. It hasn't got phenomenal run out, it's only got about 5 thou run out, but it's quite heavy on the backlash anyway, but it will live again, and it just shows what we can do. Would we ever do this and sell it as a diff? No, we wouldn't. Condition wise, I can't get this diff any better. Reliability wise, it shouldn't be any less reliable than if it was all new, unless there's a crack we can't see. But in actual terms of wear, this diff is pretty much worn out, and we've done it to sort of prove what can be done. If people want us to do it, we wouldn't recommend it, but there you go. Tiddles Diff, you're back in business, and when I see you again, the next time I see you, chap, I think it will be your very last. There you go. Good luck, Tiddles. See you soon.